In this edition of In Focus, Israeli settlements continue to eat away Palestinian land in both the West Bank territories and in East Jerusalem, Al-Quds.
Israel is fighting by the minute to capture as much land as it can.
But the Israeli settlements in East Jerusalem are extremely dangerous for Palestinians as Israel continues building thousands of settlements aiming at creating a Jewish homeland in the Holy City.
You have over 200,000 Israeli settlers in Arab East Jerusalem.
Israel is demolishing Palestinian homes, evicting families, and building settlements in the middle of Palestinian neighborhoods in East Jerusalem, Al-Quds.
Our situation is very terrifying. Right next door are settlers.
And now Palestinians are finding a new way to counter Israeli colonies in East Jerusalem, Al-Quds.
The decision was taken in 1952 to move here.
Buying and renting in Israeli settlements. Stay tuned. Historically, Jerusalem always belonged to the land of Palestine, a religiously diverse state with a Muslim majority, but among them Christians and Jews. At the turn of the 20th century, a new Jewish ideology emerged, Zionism. As Zionism called for the creation of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, increasing numbers of Jewish Europeans began to immigrate to the Holy Country in the early 1900s. The Jewish population grew from a small minority to 35% of the population in Palestine. With the support of the Balfour Declaration and the United States, Israel was declared state in 1948 on 78% of Palestine. The following day, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq attacked Israel in what is known as the First Arab-Israeli War. Hundreds of thousands of Arabs fled Palestine. Jerusalem became divided. Israel occupied the west, while Jordan controlled east of Jerusalem, Al-Quds. During the 1967 Six-Day War, Israel occupied East Jerusalem, where hundreds of thousands of dunams of land were stolen and used to establish the first Jewish settlement on Palestinian land.
East Jerusalem has been 6.5 square kilometers. They expanded it to become 71 square kilometers on the West Bank, planted over 13 settlements.
Settlements are essentially large, modern housing units built in communities illegally by Israel on land confiscated from Palestinians within the West Bank and Jerusalem, Al-Quds. The settlements are joined to Israel through bypass roads seized from Palestinians, which are for the exclusive use of Israelis. They are built on hilltops for security purposes and on privately owned Palestinian land captured by the Israeli government.
We come to witness Israeli policies and practices to change the status quo, to create new facts on the ground, to force us to accommodate ourselves to this reality. Then they moved immediately to look for East Jerusalem.
87-year-old Jerusalemite Dahoud Ansari walks through the old city of Jerusalem every day. As the son of a prominent Jerusalem family, Dahoud witnessed before his eyes the dramatic changes of Jerusalem, the capital of Palestine, and now occupied Jerusalem.
Before 1948, there were very few Jews in Palestine. After Israel was declared a state, Jews from all over the globe filled Palestine and took over Jerusalem. Immediately, they began to build illegal settlements.
Ever since 1967, Israeli governments have encouraged large numbers of Jews to settle in East Jerusalem, Al-Quds. As a result, the settlers in East Jerusalem make up an estimated 75 to 80% of the total increase in Jerusalem's Jewish population since 1967. Nevertheless, today the ratio has changed, with the Palestinian population comprising 34% Arabs to 64% Jews. Today, only 13% of the land remains for Palestinians in East Jerusalem.
Settlements both in pre-67 apartheid Israel and in post-67 occupied territories have been constructed mostly on lands alienated from their legitimate Palestinian Arab owners, either through ethnic cleansing or through confiscation or through other means illegal under international law.
Over the decades, Palestinian homes were demolished and families evicted and displaced in order for Israel to build settlements in East Jerusalem.
We have two main kinds of settlements in Jerusalem. You have the big settlements like Har Homa, Gilo, Ramot, Pisgat Ze'ev. In all of those there is some construction. The biggest is Har Homa and Pisgat Ze'ev now, with hundreds of housing units under construction today. The second kind of settlements in Jerusalem are those that are inside Palestinian neighborhoods, where usually Israeli settlers take over houses of Palestinians and move in instead.
Today, dozens of Jewish settlements reside in occupied East Jerusalem, Al-Quds. These settlements are intended to secure Israeli sovereignty over the entire Jerusalem region. They form two rings around the city, the inner ring in East Jerusalem and the outer ring, Greater Jerusalem, reaching far into the West Bank, isolating Arab East Jerusalem and cutting the West Bank in half.
Now today, 2010 or 2011, you have over 200,000 Israeli settlers in Arab East Jerusalem.
300,000 Israelis also reside in 124 settlements in the West Bank of the Palestinian occupied territory. Settlements in the West Bank and in East Jerusalem, Al-Quds, make up 40% of the Palestinian territory. And since Israel's 10-month partial freeze on West Bank settlement construction concluded in September of 2010, Jewish settlement building has been booming in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, Al-Quds. But it is the rapid encroachment of Israeli settlements in East Jerusalem, Al-Quds, that has become quite dangerous for Palestinians as Israel continues building colonies in perhaps the most holy city in the world, the city Palestinians claim as the capital of a future state. Settlement construction in both the West Bank and in East Jerusalem has increased 4 times faster than in the past.
It's definite that Israel is adamant to kill Palestinian geography. Israel is fighting by the minute to capture as much land as it can and to hinder the peace process and to tell the world that there's no geography on which the Palestinians can establish their own state.
In the last few months, the construction of settlements in East Jerusalem has already been underway, a plan which seems to be pushing out Palestinians from East Jerusalem.
The plans for the future are quite extravagant. I mean,
Settlement Expansion Monitor Orly Noy says when there's a limitation on Israeli settlement activity, then Israel's response is to intensify settlement construction.
It has been promoting very rapidly the Israelization of East Jerusalem through massive construction plans, both in the existing settlements/neighborhoods.
Currently, thousands of settlements are being built in East Jerusalem, Al-Quds. The largest among them include Gilo, with 1,400 settlement units, Pisgat Ze'ev with 625 settlement units, Har Homa with 1,125 settlement units, and Ramot Shlomo with 1,600 settlement units. Analysts say the most dangerous Jewish settlement construction is in the old city of Jerusalem near Islam's third holiest site, Al-Aqsa Mosque. This area is referred as the Holy Basin.
From 1967 till this particular moment, the struggle over Jerusalem is focusing on the holy site. Today they are in control of the old gates of Al-Aqsa Mosque. Today they are entering the site. Today they are praying in certain area. Today they have excavation underneath the holy sites, and they change everything in the old city because they believe it has to be exclusive Jewish.
Hundreds of Jews reside in the Muslim quarter of the old city, and for the past few years, Israel has evicted dozens of families from their homes, especially in the East Jerusalem Al-Quds neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah. Now Jews reside in these Palestinian homes.
What they started to do in Sheikh Jarrah, for instance, to build many settlements all around and to evict the people.
Through evictions and home demolitions, Israel paves more way for settlement construction. The rapid construction of Israeli settlements in East Jerusalem is Israel's goal of creating increasing Jewish presence in Jerusalem and the Palestinian occupied territories.
This is exactly Israel's strategy. Israel is bypassing the will of the international community, undermining the UN resolutions that have been passed in support of a Palestinian state, and is working around the hour to see as to how it can capture more and more Palestinian property.
A continuous process, really, that finally they wanted to disfigure this small area, which we call it East Jerusalem.